It's me, Russell Brand. You found my YouTube.
Perkenalkan, Peg Dutch Lady Max Grove Baharu.
Mama, kumakan na yan.
Florida Governor Ron DeSantis and the Disney Corporation have gone to war. But is it about wokeness or money and power? You decide. Hello there, you 5.5 million awakening wonders on a journey together with us as we grow this channel, as we grow our minds, as we grow the light inside. If you want to come and see me live, you can. Look, I'm in Plymouth. There's a few tickets there. I'm in Glasgow. There's a few tickets. I'm in all sorts of places. Come see me. It's fantastic. Remember to subscribe to this channel. Currently, only half of you do. And turn on that notification bell so I can ding-a-ling-a-ling right in the midst of your consciousness whenever I need to. Now, what is going on in Florida? It seems that laws are being changed. Some people interpret it as prohibition around speaking about sexuality and gender identity. Is that literally what the law is? That seems mad and crazy. Other people say it's a power-motivated discourse because Ron DeSantis is likely to become, is he, the next president of the United States? Is it a DeSantis versus Trump Republican showdown? And what is the role of the Disney Corporation, one of the most beloved corporations in the world, one of the most powerful brands on the planet, a brand so powerful that they sort of run their own kind of town? So what's going on over there in Disney World? And by Disney World, I mean the actual world.
Disney World may be about to lose its unusual status as a special tax district in Florida.
It's a bit weird that Disney is a special tax district anyway, isn't it? Because it's not an actual world, is it? Like with people sort of like, oh, what's going on today? I'm having a pretty shit time, as a matter of fact.
The state's governor, Ron DeSantis, signed a bill into law Friday revoking it. Disney World has had near total control of its land since 1967, when the state designated the area as the Reedy Creek Improvement District.
It's really interesting, isn't it? The way that we regard reality. Most of us still think we live in nations. England, France. What I've begun to think is that the veil of nation obscures from us the economic realities of corporate globalism or global corporatism. It doesn't really matter which way you put those words around, does it? But that essentially how the world operates is in accordance with a set of systems and principles that are, broadly speaking, beyond the democratic bounds. Once in a while, there'll be some conflict or conflagration that allows you to address the true nature of power. The great writer David Foster Wallace, in his brilliant book Infinite Jest, talked about like a world where brands actually sponsored like whole countries. You would have Apple Land and Facebook World and Disney World. Well, that's already here. Oh my God, he just plagiarized that from reality. Who really has power? Is it ordinary people within nations electing officials that implement their will? Or is there a sort of a set of agenda that sort of remain broadly inaccessible? And once in a while, there'll be a big conflict, probably about money and power, that will likely play out in the realm of culture because we overreact to culture. That's the truth, isn't it? If someone tells you a bunch of numbers, oh, these people are only paying this much tax, well, I'm bored, I can't be bothered with that. These people are not going to allow you to be who you are sexually. What? You motherfuckers! And suddenly you're interested.
Disney essentially operates as its own county government and even taxes itself.
I tax me not that much. Well done, me. That's a very fair tax bill. I'm not even paying that bit of tax you tax me. You'll pay me my tax me.
But if the law goes into full effect next year, Orange and Osceola counties will control the district, which covers nearly 40 square miles.
Now, this don't say gay bills. People have been talking about it for a while. Some people are saying that it's not possible to talk to children about identity and sexuality. Now, I've got children. I've got a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old. And let me tell you, you have to have pretty complex conversations from day one. Whose domain are those conversations? Is it educational institutes? Is it familial institutes? Who do you want to have control over your children's education? Do you want your children to be socialized and educated within groups of like your own peers, sort of more tribal, traditional groups? Or this is, I suppose, a complex set of questions. My personal principles are founded on tolerance, that we have to tolerate traditionalism and we have to tolerate progressivism. I think that if people want to raise their children in a particular way, they should be able to, as long as they're not hurting or in any way abusing those children. My conversations with my own children include conversations around gender identity. They often ask questions around sexuality, and as an individual, as members of a family, I find that there are challenging conversations that have to be had from pretty early on. Let's see what this law is, let's see what's going on, and let's see what the likely motivations are and what this dispute actually centralizes around. Disney employs 38 lobbyists in Florida's capital. Each election cycle, the company gives generous campaign contributions to Florida candidates on both sides of the political aisle. That shows you right there that there is no genuine ideological agenda. We really strongly believe in LGBTQ plus rights, whereas we think that it should all be stamped out. Well, you both have some money, just let us make as much money as we want. Fine, cool. Its theme park mega resort near Orlando attracts around 50 million visitors a year, powering a central Florida tourism economy that annually generates more than $5 billion in local and state tax revenue. The upshot, Disney usually gets whatever it wants in Florida. Fair enough, because the true ideology is an economic one. The ideology around cultural issues, while important because it affects you individually, your family, your children, your life, your rights, it's not so important as the old $5 billion in tax revenue and the profits generated by the Disney Corporation for themselves and their shareholders, I would argue. That era ended on Thursday when the Florida House voted to revoke Disney World's designation as a special tax district, a privilege that Disney has held for 55 years, effectively allowing the company to self-govern its 25,000-acre theme park complex. Interesting to know that while most folk, you, me, everyone else, look at Disney and see like the mouse ears and the castle and the princesses, and maybe once in a while, oh, is this princesses, because I've got daughters, you know, oh, is this giving us enough of a varied and nuanced view on princesses and children and gender? You know, we might think all those things, but Disney is like thinking about like its unique tax status. That's what they're thinking about, their ability to make profits, because not because they're all but because they're a business, and that's the real ideology. That is the true fundamentalist ideology, so fundamental that you literally can't see it because it's just there and it's accepted. We have to learn to view reality properly. We have to see where power is interested in going, or as loads of you say, and I know you'll hit me up in the comments below, follow the money. Where's the money going? I know these issues are important. I'm not saying they're not important. If you want to raise your kids traditionally, as far as I'm concerned, that's none of my business. If you want to raise your kids progressively, as far as I'm concerned, it's none of my business. Like, the same as the way I'm raising my kids, that's none of your business, right? So, like, I'm cool with all of that. It's the none of your business. But what is business is business. The swift effort to dissolve Reedy Creek by Florida Republicans has been widely seen as a brazen retaliation after Disney, Florida's largest private employer, paused political donations in the state and condemned a new education law that opponents call Don't Say Gay. That's the introduction of a financial component. So while it may be about the colloquially understood as Don't Say Gay bill, also there is already a financial component. They paused donations. It's like, do you think, really deep down, that at big businesses and in the true heart of political life, the corridors of power, they're going, what should we do about whether or not people are gay? Or do you think they're interested in money and power, and they'll use whatever tokens and distractions and badges to distract you from that become available? What do you think? Tell me in the comments below, because I'm not sure. Maybe what politicians and great big corporations sit about in their meetings with calculators and computers, are we doing enough about LGBTQ, and what are we going to do about racial diversity? Or do you think it's about money? Is there a stock exchange where what they're calculating and trading on is people's rights? Or is it money? Among many things, the law prohibits discussion about sexual orientation and gender identity through the 3rd grade in Florida classrooms and limits it for older students. More than 150 companies, including Marriott and American Airlines, had already signed a human rights campaign letter opposing the legislation. If Disney wants to pick a fight, they chose the wrong guy, Mr. DeSantis, a potential Republican presidential candidate in 2024, wrote in a fundraising email to supporters on Wednesday. I will not allow a woke corporation based in California to run our state. Obviously, what DeSantis has learned from the Trump campaign is there's a significant number of people that do not like progressivism and woke politics. The same way as the corporations have recognised, there's a lot of people who do like progressive politics and woke politics, and that many of those people operate in traditional or conventional or blue chip legacy media spheres. And if you are willing to put on the badges and the apparel, you'll get a certain amount of cultural collateral. I don't think there's a great deal of true idealism at play in either place here. I don't think that Ron DeSantis really cares, and I don't think the Disney Corporation really cares about the stuff they're saying they care about. Based on the information here, it seems that what's really going on is a bunch of people arguing about money and power using the tokens of identity politics or progressive or traditional politics to placate an already baying crowd that have been primed on either side. And I would say your job and our job is to unshackle ourselves from those kind of ideas so that we can participate meaningfully in a conversation, which just simply for me would mean I'm going to raise my children how I want to, within certain, I think, agreed upon moral imperatives around not harming one another, and you raise your children how you want to raise your children, and I accept that there will be differences. Me and my wife have differences of opinion on how we should raise our children. So the best thing, I think, is you leave me alone and I'll leave you alone. Of course, once you send your children to school, your children are now in the hands of the state, and now the state is deciding what information and what ideals your children have access to. So that is the intersectional point between family, private life and state policy and state ideology. I suppose what that suggests to me in terms of solution is you'd probably be better off if your schools were run democratically between the teachers, the pupils to a point, them little lunatics, and the parents, so that you were able to individually discuss what you want at your school. This is why centralized power, whether it's state or corporate, will always lead to suffering in your individual life. Disney has gotten away with special deals from the state of Florida for way too long. Florida has hundreds of similar special tax districts that would be left in place. So there's other ones as well. So it's not just Disney, there's loads of businesses enjoying these favourable tax relationships. Disney's special status has effectively allowed the company to operate as its own municipal government with its own board of supervisors and fire department, and meant Disney could even build its own airport or nuclear power plant if desired. Oh, welcome! Now this is a magical new solution to the problem of power, yeah! It's pretty amazing, isn't it, that they can do that? In a way, if it weren't corporatized, that's exactly the kind of model I'm suggesting. That if you want to run your own very libertarian, progressive community, you should be able to. If you want to run your own very progressive community, you should be able to. You should be able to do what Disney are doing. Disney are able to do it because they're a big corporation. You should be allowed to do it. You should be able to run your own community. Isn't the answer becoming obvious that we're just putting it down the wrong pipeline, the pipeline of money and power, the conventional systems that exist already, allowing ourselves to be distracted by these cultural arguments that will never be resolved, because there is not just one right way to do stuff. There's loads of ways that people could do stuff. There's loads of ways to raise a child, and they're all going to have mistakes in them, because children, let me tell you now, are a pain in the arse. It had given the entertainment giant freedom from almost all bureaucratic intervention for half a century, and is thought to have saved it from tens of millions of dollars in taxes and fees. And it's part of why Disney chose to build its theme parks in Florida, where it's become the state's largest private employer with some 80,000 jobs. So this is a great argument. It's an argument between corporate power and state power. Most of the time, corporate and state power line up nicely. They come up with deals. Now, the cultural argument, because of the way that the media space has started to operate lately, has led to this conflict and conflagration. But the state and the corporations ultimately will come to a resolution because they need one another. What is of barely any significance to them is you and your family and your feelings, except as how you, your family and your feelings can be resourced to give them either money or power. From the Wall Street Journal, one reason CEOs rarely criticise progressive governance is they don't want to become targets of the left. Jennifer Say has said she was forced to resign as Levi Strauss president after she criticised school closures. The fact that executives feel freer to criticise Republicans than Democrats speaks volumes about who is friendlier to business and free speech. Called the Parental Rights in Education law, the Don't Say Gay law also calls on school districts to avoid LGBT topics when not age appropriate or developmentally appropriate.
买的黄金啊，比如说现在黄金的价钱是8000块啊，这个黄金的价钱啊，市面上的黄金的价钱是8000块啊，你要脱手的时候啊，你随便找一个阿猫阿狗卖啊，他都要跟你买那个黄金8000块，为什么？因为那个黄金会增值，而且它有了那些所谓的 official 的那些买卖的公司啊，他肯定会跟你买黄金啊，他不会拒绝跟你讲，对，你要卖8000块，我跟你买黄金8000块，他对反应啊，他要买那个黄金8000块，因为他肯定会从中赚一点点。这些货跟黄金是一模一样的道理，一模一样的那个concept，就是你要脱手的时候啊，你要卖这些货啊，已经有人在那边推着球，你快点卖给他，因为他可以从中赚一笔道理。所以这种跟黄金是没有分别的，是等号，这种货跟黄金是等号。那些买家已经在等着啊，美国啊、全世界啊、澳大利亚啊、Bangkok 啊、香港啊，那里还有英国啊，还有那里，全世界每一个角落啊，都在等着这个货啊，他们在跪着求我，你不要卖给我，是我不要卖给他，不是我卖不出啊，懂这个道理？因为我还没有准备好卖，我要卖的时候你就看到那个家里是空的。卖一个货啊，赚10倍哦，所以不要这种货啊，卖一个玩具货啊，赚10倍哦，不要。黄金你都赚不到10倍哦，黄金如果你10年前买啊，到现在啊，你最多赚2倍。黄金啊，多了。所以你讲你会投资哪样东西？你会投资这个玩具可以赚10倍，还是你要投资买黄金赚这2倍？而且要等10年，这不用等10年啊，你现在买现在卖就赚这10倍哦。
For students. Opponents say the law will isolate and stigmatise LGBT youth, while supporters say it protects children from age-inappropriate content. Complex philosophical ideas that need to be discussed and, I would say, determined at the level of the family, the individual, the person. It's not something to be glibly dismissive of. And I would say I don't want corporations or big business in charge of that. I would like any individual to feel afraid of being who they are, unable to communicate about who they are. That strikes me as tyrannical. What all of this points to for me is the impossibility of centralized models that get their ideals from either big business or the state, or at least ultimately operate in the service of those two institutions. Me, I want to raise my children how I want to raise my children. I suppose what if you are asking what I believe in local, collective, democratic communities, so the community can come to a consensus on how they want their children raised, and that there should be tolerance and respect for both traditional and progressive values within that model, and that everybody is participating in this conversation, no one is excluded, and no one's made to feel ashamed for being who they are. Here's another story around the Disney Corporation that tells you what their priorities might be. Conservatives are convinced that Disney is trying to implement a radical left agenda. But even with its altruistic seeming new housing development for workers, the company is just looking out for the bottom line. Now, this is more the stuff that I'm interested in. What's really at stake here? Once you accept that on an individual and cultural level, tolerance and openness is a necessity, then how does power really operate? Let's start to examine that. For me, that's a significant question that we can all agree on. We're all going to have a variety of views on how to raise our children. Even in my household, there are different views. When it comes to how to run a country, there are some different things that need to be discussed. We are invested in working together with our community to solve complex issues, said Jeff Vahl, president of the Walt Disney World Resort, about the company's recent decision to build 1,300 units of affordable housing in the Orlando area. The truth is that Disney's new commitment to expanding housing options for its workers is a sign of the company's self-interest. What? For Disney cast members, imagine the reality of being in that bloody helmet and pretending to be Mickey Mouse all day, asphyxiated under that sort of saccharine snug, having children poke you in the groin. To live in a 2-bedroom apartment near work would require a nearly $30 an hour wage, according to a report by the National Low Income Housing Coalition. That's double the amount that the vast majority of the resort's 77,000 workers make. So it's about money. All these things, they distract you. It's about money. It's about money. It's always about money and power. No one cares about anything else. At the peak of the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020, Disney axed more than 32,000 of its lowest wage workers. Why? Because of gender issues? Or was it money? A few months later, in March 2021, the company's stock hit a new all-time high of $203 a share, and CEO Bob Chapek ended up doubling his earnings to $32 million last year. Money! Disney still believes in good old-fashioned capitalism. That's the real ideology. Don't get distracted. And that leafy new development it wants to build is little more than a fresh spin on an old feature of American life, not depicted on Main Street, USA, the company town. We're not going to pay you enough money to live in the areas where you work, but we do need you to live in the areas of work so you can work there for not enough money. Therefore, we're going to build you a sort of prison. Okay, so there we are. A complicated issue that's likely to evoke high charges of emotion. That's what it's supposed to do, because when you're frightened or full of desire or anger, you're unable to think straight. So here's some suggestions. You should be in charge of how your community is run. You should be in charge of how your children is educated. None of us want to be told by the state or big business how to raise our children. Because I don't know what's in Ron DeSantis' mind. I don't know what's in the minds of the people that run the Disney Corporation when it comes to complex issues around identity and gender. But when it comes to their true ideology, I can tell you without doubt that what they care about is money and power. That's why this whole story is seeded with and ridden with articles that demonstrate that fact. Donations are made, tax breaks are given, housing is built, low wages are paid. Money, 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 money. Don't get distracted by the mouse. Start looking at the money. But that's just what I think. What do you think? You let me know in the comments below how you feel about raising your children, the Disney Corporation, Ron DeSantis as a potential president, how you want your communities run, what kind of views affect you. Have you changed as a result of this video? Are you willing to let go of some of your cherished beliefs? What can you let go of in order to create a new world? Because surely, by God, we need a new world and we can't let it be run by Disney or possibly not even by Ron DeSantis. What do you think? What world do you want to end up in? Let me know in the comments below. Please subscribe to this video. Please turn on the notification bells. Please comment. Keep this conversation going. If you enjoyed this video, have a look at this one or this one. Please subscribe to my mailing list here so I can remain in direct communication with you. But more important than any of that is that you please stay free.
Wrong script, Didi. Everyone take 5.
Oh, and who doesn't like the fake lips? Let's just be honest. The fake lips work, right?
I don't like them.
Women like when we have fake hair. They like when we're on finasteride and our hair is maintained. So we like that.
I'm sure there's been fake lips that are well done that I didn't notice, and I'm like, oh, that looks good.
Yeah.
But when they look all pillowy and shit, I'm like, oh, I can't do
But
it.
it's better than if you look like a bird. Isn't it better than that?
Yep. Yes.
Yeah. Right? So I think that's what we have to judge. We have to judge like 70 years old.
Yeah, no.
Do you see what I'm
Give me
saying?
70 years old. Give me 70.
Okay.
Madonna's a grandma. She should look like a grandma.
I know. You're until the thing, to the ocean or whatever.
I think you made all this up.
I'm not making it up.
Of course. Fat.
Donna, yo.
Oh my god.
Stop playing, bro.
Still alive. You thought about this? Like, yo, when I
Before this. It has to be rockets. I think I come back from that.
Okay.
I think I would come back from a coma.
Fully
Deadass.
incapacitated.
It's a brand I believe in, it's a brand I love, and I honestly have been excited about this.
So I got invited to Razer HQ. So in case you didn't know, I am Singaporean. And I know some of you local boys who are just learning about this for the first time ever are probably going, Nina, these guys speak like Amor, how to know he's Singaporeans, yeah? But you know that us local boys must hashtag support local. And what bigger local brand is there than motherfucking Razer? literal billions in annual revenue, and I would have never dreamt of even talking to any one of the big boys residing there. But then one day I got an email that said, "Hey, we heard you like headphones, so come over." Nerd. So on a beautiful Friday afternoon, I went down to Razer HQ. If you didn't already know, Razer has their own entire building. The whole thing is black and green, for God's sake. Now, to be fair, they don't own the entire building. They occupy the first 4 of 7 floors. Though it's pretty cool that they leased out an entire floor to MiHoYo. Yes, that MiHoYo. Now, first time walking in, I was greeted by this wall-to-wall LED thing at the lift lobby. Now, I say this as a compliment and with the greatest possible respect. The Razer HQ feels like a supervillain layer. You know the Incredibles syndromes like lava doors? God damn, it felt that way to me. Razer spent some serious cash on this office, if you even want to call it that at this point. Now, just a few things that caught my attention when I was graciously given a tour of the place. A locker specifically for food deliveries. Never allow the peasantry up. Just tell them to put the food in the locker. You yourself come down and pick it up. Their own Razer shop in the lobby. If you ever wanted to go there, just visit them and all, you could just buy their shit in-house. Just go down there. Something called a Razer Cafe. To be fair, it's just the fancy vending machine. Now, calling it a vending machine is kind of doing it a service as well. It is a robotic arm that makes coffee on order. Not for free though, employees still have to pay. Daddy Min Liang needs his bread. Just a giant mechanical keyboard, the largest I've ever seen, in full working order, might I add. And it is the best sounding keyboard I have ever had the pleasure of. It's not really typing, more like punching.
This has flown to more places than I've flown into in my life.
Yeah, same. It's been like multiple events all around the world.
I actually love this sound. Oh, that's nice. Now, I don't care who you are, I want my mechanical switches to sound like a gun reloading, you feel me? There is facial recognition security everywhere. Everywhere you turn, every single room, it's just there. Which again, kind of contributes to the whole supervillain layer aesthetic. A sky garden, which I hear is a popular spot for mental breakdowns. And last but not least, a pantry, the cameraman's favorite. There's one on every single floor stocking up drinks and food, nuts, fruit, drinks, biscuits, ice cream, potato chips. I swear to God, half the office is pantry. Now, at the end of the tour and settling the actual reason as to why I went to Razer HQ, I then asked my representative if I could, test out the entire range of Razer's headphone lineup. After all, I myself actually have never officially measured the Razer headphones on my new headphones measuring rig. I've tried them, of course, but measurements. Now, they couldn't hand over everything to me on such short notice, so at the end of the day, they just handed me what they had on hand, which was the Kraken V3 Pro, the Black Shark V2 Pro, the Black Shark V2 X, and the Barracuda X. And I took a picture of the boxes, sent them to Twitter and YouTube, and god damn, you guys were merciless. The placement of the boxes are more aesthetically pleasing than the headphones themselves. This is going to be fun. Not for Razer though. I am so sorry you have to go through this. Lord have mercy on the poor soul that uses these. Tear them to shreds, let's go! This is gonna be a dumpster fire. Why did you let a dog shit on your floor? Okay, that's good. That's a good one. Oh no. Why? Waste of plastic, really. Burn it. Oh no, are you being paid a lot to do this to yourself? I hope you're being paid a lot to do this for yourself.
Emotional, damn it!
Nice, you're making a campfire? I can't wait to see these torn apart hinge to hinge. Jesus fucking Christ, Razer, what do you do to their families? I know all of you are expecting me to roast the shit off these headphones, but honestly, after visiting the HQ and being treated so well by the Razer staff, I can't say anything bad. Alright, I can't do it. Now, all of them aren't good, but some of them aren't bad. Now, I pride myself in being kind of a fair person. I know that I sort of have a reputation of being the guy who treats bad sounding headphones like a war crime. But still, I am still willing to give any brand, no matter how notorious their reputation may be, a fair shake. Now, let me just start with the headphone that I feel almost nothing for, which in this case is kind of a compliment. The Kraken V3 Pro is a headphone that exists. Tuning wise, it's not offensive. It's like if you squint and look real hard, it looks kinda Harman-ish. Dollar store Harman. Bass is on the boomier side, but it's not the worst. I've heard far worse. Overall, it's fairly tonally balanced, if a little uneven in the mids. But I think the most interesting thing about the Kraken V3 Pro is the haptics, I'm just gonna call it vibrators in the cup. They basically respond to the bass. So if you've ever had any experience with those Skull Candy Skull Crushers, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I feel like this whole haptics thing has potential. Just, of course, not at the level of maximum settings, but it has potential. I feel like this might be the future. I'm being a bit cautious here because I know that audiophiles tend to be a little bit purist in the way that they play the hobby, but still, interesting technology, just maybe a conversation for another time. Then we have the Black Shark V2 Pro, which is basically the Kraken V3 Pro, but worse. It's bloated, it's harsh, it's shouty, it's sharp. It's just worse in almost every single audible way.
Ramadan ni banyak benda nak dibuat. Untuk menjalani ibadah dan tugas harian, kita perlu kekal hidrat.
I still don't think that it's like absolutely terrible. I could see myself using it for minutes at the time, but I'm not gonna call it good. Definitely not. The Black Shark V2 Pro is if the Black Shark V2 Pro wasn't terrible, the Black Shark V2X on the other hand, I swear to God, I puked in my mouth. It's just muddy bass with a downsloping signature. It's a horrible, horrible double whammy combo. Low resolution, everything just sounds like it has a film of dirt all over it. It's, again, no sugarcoating. Terrible, horrible, disgusting. And last and certainly least, we have the Barracuda. Now, credit to Razer, the Barracuda X does make me feel like a barracuda. Like I'm underwater. Yeah, this really is the worst of the lot in terms of like sound. It legitimately sounds like I am submerged in the pool and listening to speakers on the surface. So in this regard, if you just want to rate Razer based on whether or not they hit the bare absolute minimum in terms of sound, I guess you could say that they are 2 for 4. I guess. Now, since these are all gaming headsets, I assume that you are also wondering about their mic quality. Well, keep wondering because I don't test that. So here are my brief observations from testing these 4 headphones. All of them are closed back. All of them have terrible staging. Cup reflection just results in odd imaging all around. In my opinion, they are just terrible for gaming. I wouldn't use them for gaming. Now, some of you OGs may have remembered that I have made a gaming headphones video a few months back. And one of the reasons why I feel like gaming headsets aren't that optimal for gaming headphones that I didn't actually mention in the video is the fact that all of them are closed back. All of these headphones just sound narrow and closed in and definitely not immersive. At center imaging, it feels like everything's in your head. So in this regard, that's kind of within expectations. So no, Razer headsets have not convinced me of the superiority of gaming headsets versus actual regular headphones. A shocker, I know. Now, I did promise that I was going to test out the entire Razer lineup, so I will hope that I'll be able to get everything eventually. assuming that they don't block me after this video. And now here we go on to everyone's favorite part where I thank my loyal patrons. Thank you to everyone who has subscribed to my $20 tier here. Here are all of your names. And of course, for those big money boys who have subscribed to my $30 tier, let me announce your names. McMadface, Dennis, Jerry, HK57, Moneyboy, Fisk, Aussie, Noofed, TJ, Mr. Overlord 12, Charlie Rowe 222, and Rodrigo. Thank you all. I sincerely apologize for any delays that this video may have. After all, the last few days I've kind of been fighting fires in the background. But regardless, see you next week. Don't die. Fuck off.
I will this in the camera real quick before the game loads. Okay. This is a soft. Ready? This is a soft. You can see how it flails. It's like a lot more like firm. This is an extra soft. The extra soft, as you can tell, is very easy to fold. You can do whatever. And also, what's really important is pushing down on the mouse pad. I can push down like really hard on it and sink in a lot, which is really good for control. But okay, we'll use the extra soft now.
I went on Amazon and bought
Fit on my head very well. Is there like a way to make it fit?
I have a list of the This is a random subscriber. Car hopping and somehow ended up here. What?
That's incredible.
This isn't even funny. This is cool. Wait, he's the dinosaur champion?
That look, he's got gloves on. Did you see it?
Oh, Lord. Oh, Lord.
Why?
Somebody call now. We need an ambulance.
We need an ambulance.
Come on now.
We're keeping it going. Stare at that screen.
Let's go! Automatic dog scratcher.
If you owned one of those, give it to me.
I want it.
Molecule by molecule.
Atom by atom.
Skip it up and down.
Yeah, you can't give me a SpongeBob.
The problem is you watch too much TikTok.
Maxim 88。
晚上好，我是威敏，欢迎收看5月7号的百格大事记。今天的百格午报有提及，网民抱怨东海岸部分油站油卖光了。对此，大马石油商工会主席凯鲁安努亚指出，目前汽油短缺主要发生在大道沿线的油泵，主要涉及东海岸周围地区，预料最迟在下周一。
你睇啦，
就以罐头口袋吃不消。百物涨价，民众纷纷投诉口袋吃不消。行动党霹雳州主席兼安顺区国会议员倪可敏今天就以罐頭为例子，感叹人民如今連沙丁魚也高攀不起。
你睇啦，2年裏邊係咪俾馬來西亞呢個豪門政府上台以後，馬來西亞嘅人民幾時有好日子過？係咪？唔好講其他嘢啊，淨係講物價嘅呢個。物價起價就好了。之前啊，你睇唔起啊，之前看不起的沙丁魚啊，沙丁魚當時西蒙執政的時候，我還記得一罐是4塊1，而家俾呢個豪門政府執政係咪？現在從前你看不起沙丁魚，現在你高攀不起沙丁魚罐頭，一罐啊嗰個咩汁艾音啊，汁艾音嘅嗰個沙丁魚啫，大罐的都要9塊1。
另外，倪可敏也指出，生猪肉在1年里已经涨价了5次，截至昨天，一头生猪涨至1470令吉，是有史以来最贵的价格。同时，他也担心马币贬值的问题将会导致另一轮涨风的来袭。接着来看政治新闻。巫统和一党会不会在来届全国大选合作？这个问题其实谈论了许久。日前，儋州和登州巫统就都坚决表态不会合作。
If you've ever
So we took the Circle DNA test, and they have the world's most comprehensive.
If you've ever had this feeling that something was terribly wrong with the world
and gotten people sick, and you see how they're running.
A call for an uprising.
This is a call for an uprising. Welcome to today's show. Obviously, most of you know I've been talking about the grid shutdowns over the last few months especially, but over the last couple of years, I've talked about Plum Island and how they're running experiments for a grid shutdown on Plum Island. Surprise, surprise, which, by the way, they're trying to save Plum Island. I don't know if anyone's heard about that. I'll do that in a separate video. But apparently Plum Island is in danger of being shut down, and they want to make it like a landmark, a historic landmark. That's how unbelievable these people are. It's a historic landmark to them because that's where they've created all these diseases like Lyme's disease and sent them off into our country and gotten people sick. And you've seen all the mutated animals that have washed on shore. If you haven't, you could just Google that. That's Plum Island, if you're interested. That's your Department of Homeland Security and your CDC and all these. Oh, that's what chaos. Resetting things will make people be.
If you've ever had this feeling that something was terribly wrong with the world that we live
in, right? At a time period, conveniently, that they have both sides so riled up over each other, what a lot of the movie is. For an uprising.
About to become a part of it. For an uprising.
This is a call for an uprising. Welcome to today's show. Obviously, most people in America are aware of what's going on with the Roe v. Wade or Wade v. Roe, however we should say it, because obviously we always have to on this channel, and by we, I mean me and you. We all have to talk around the algorithm because people like us aren't allowed to talk truth. And I know a lot of people are caught up in this. And I know that obviously as Christians, and I know as people who are, this is all stuff that's coming, but they're pretending now with the seesaw.
見てる。おい、そんな卑怯な手使いやがってっていう目で見てるね。なんだなんだ、文句あんのか。良いではないか。えぐい。良いではないか。でこっからお気持ち悪い。キモい。ぐい、気持ち悪い。
¿Qué va?
もう完全に出血させますまんみたいな感じの。 我蛇の王の家族となり共に神をも食らおうぞ。
No, no, we'll be fine. Let's go kill the
Check
boss.
this out.
Yeah, yeah, go for it.
Healthcare workers, doctors and nurses were heroes during the pandemic, but now the pandemic's not so much of a problem. So who cares what happens to them, right? Hello there, you 5.3 million awakening wonders. We are on a voyage into the limitless, and the forces that seek to limit us cannot be victorious as long as we retain connection with the inner light. Listen, if you want to see more of that kind of stuff, unexpurgated, live in the room, asking me questions, come and see me on tour. I'm all over the UK in places like Carlisle, Plymouth, Blackpool. I'm going to do a big meditation special in Blackpool. There are tickets available. The link is in the description. Now, during the pandemic, many of us felt incredibly grateful for healthcare workers, nurses, doctors that were willing to put their own lives, their own sanity on the line to ensure our safety. We learned, didn't we, during the pandemic, that life is sacred. And who should we value above all else and above all others? Nurses, doctors, those that are willing to put our welfare ahead of their own. And surely, you know, given that there could be a pandemic just around the corner, right, Mr. Gates? We should probably ensure that healthcare workers continue to be well respected and well regarded. So let's see what's happening in that sector, in your country, in my country, and around the world. As the COVID-19 pandemic unfolded in California and across the US, healthcare workers were hailed as heroes, feted during long hospital shifts by rounds of applause and even gifts of food. They were praised by government officials. The Pope prayed on their behalf. Here in our country, we all stood on our doorsteps and clapped our hands and banged our pots and pans. That should keep them going for a couple of years. Could we have a pay rise? Bam, bada, bam, bada, bam. Oh no, a bang on a pot and pan will do just as well. 2 years into the health crisis though, nurses say they've come to realise that not much has changed. Hospitals continue with staffing levels and bed space capacity that are inadequate to any surge in emergency care. Health workers still find themselves battling their own employers, most of them profit-driven companies, to create conditions that will allow them to provide the kind of care they say patients need. You hear this again and again, don't you, anecdotally, if you speak to healthcare professionals. They simply don't have the money and resources to provide the care that they want to provide. They don't have the management structures, they don't have the funding, they don't have the goodwill. In our country, it's almost as if they're being deliberately hollowed out to facilitate privatisation. That's what they do. They underfund things, they mismanage things until in the end you go, oh, all right, just privatise it, let your mates buy it. You know, and in America, I'm sure the models are different. I know you don't have, for example, public health care, so I'll be interested to read how the distinctions play out when it comes to your health. We're getting pizza and ice cream. We didn't want that. No, both.
What if you could create the tools you need for work yourself?
All right, so you watched all the videos in this channel. You have a ton of money in your bank account from selling NFTs or selling Dogecoin, and now you want to start your own live stream business. Well, this is the video for you or someone else who just has too much money to spend. All right, so first let's clarify there's two types of live streaming businesses. If you're looking to be the next XQC, Pokimane, whoever, then turn off this video, turn on your console, turn on your phone, turn on your PC, boot up Expert Broadcaster, and just start streaming. That's all you need. Just get started doing it. Go for it and good luck. But if you're looking to do live streaming as a service, doing coverage of events, sporting events, weddings, funerals, whatever, then this is what we're going to talk about. And there's two categories here. The first is virtual events, because we have to think about the pandemic and people still aren't going places. And then the next is live in-person events. All right, first let's talk about virtual events, which are the most fun because who wants to be around people these days? Anywho, what you need for this is computers, lots and lots of computers. And the reason for this is you need one big beefy PC. This is gonna be your production encoding, video switching PC. This is running Expert Broadcaster. But you need a bunch of different individual PCs for all your remote guests. So you're likely going to be using something like Zoom or Microsoft Teams or Video Ninja, which we actually just covered in a video. And these are all going to have their own independent feed of one caller. And this is going to be sent to your main switching PC. And then it's also going to be sent to your mixer. So your mixer, you're going to need a big solid mixer. And it's not just the inputs that are important, it's the outputs. So the outputs are basically different submixes. One that goes to the stream, one that goes to the various guests, one that goes to your production crew. 3 is a minimum, but you want something like a QU16, which basically has a ton of different mix outputs. So each guest is going to have their own feed. You know, they're going to want to be able to hear each other, which they can actually probably just do through the calling software. But more importantly, they need to be able to hear the calls that you make. Like when you talk to them and say, okay, is this ready? Is that ready? Are you ready to go live? Turn your camera on. Why is your camera off? This is why you need the mixer and all the different components. You want high quality doing the switching, one person running the mixer, and then maybe one.
Everybody knows about this little boulder farm here, where you come down here, you bait the boulder, falls for 2,000, and I see so many people making videos on this, essentially just taking each other's ideas. It's whatever, you know, it's a good farm. Good, solid farm, especially because it's right here, by the way, Lena's Rise. If you need a better explanation than that, just look up a video. I'm sure you will find it. It is about this little boulder farm here, where you come down here, bait the boulder, falls for 2,000, and I see so many people making videos on this, essentially just taking each other's ideas. It's whatever, you know, it's a good farm. Good, solid farm. Really level up twice. Insanely powerful. It has this, really want this sword, because this will optimize requirements of Sword of Matter. I promise this is not a... You got yourself situated. Like tree. It's as simple as just running past the enemy staircase. And this guy, there's this huge group of enemies. Hit him with the R2 or the right trigger heavy attack, whatever you're on. We are 270. Around 2 million per hour. I really suggest just speccing into this build anyway, because this sword that I'm using is very strong, and it'll be worth the respec for this farm. So yeah, that's it. Thank you to my friend for showing me this. I did not find this on my own. Have fun grinding.
道歉嘛，我道歉嘛，这有什么好那个的
The Joe Rogan Experience.
Yeah, it's been crazy. 'Cause
Lily's mad at Michael because he made a joke. He's giving her anxiety about it.
Okay.
Instead of laughing along, now she's making a figure out. She's just being emotional.
Yeah.
It's been 20 minutes.
Is it okay?
I think Michael's in the right.
Well, I think Lily's in the right. Oh god, this might get sexual or something. Maybe I should stop recording.
I swear to God, the AT-2020 is the only reliable piece of technology in the entire...
Lily's mad at Michael because he made a joke. He's giving her anxiety about it.
Okay.
Instead of laughing along, now she's making a figure out. She's just being emotional.
Yeah.
It's been 20 minutes.
Is it okay?
I think Michael's in the right.
Well, I think Lily's in the right. Oh god, this might get sexual or something. Maybe I should stop recording.
I swear to God, the AT-2020 is the only reliable piece of technology in the entire fucking world.
Lily's mad at Michael because he made a joke.
Uh-huh.
He's giving her anxiety. Lily's mad at Michael because he made a joke. He's giving her anxiety about it.
Okay.
Instead of laughing along, now she's making a big deal out She's just being emotional.
Yeah.
It's been 20 minutes.
Is it okay?
I think Michael's in the right.
Well, I think Lily's in the right. Oh God, this might get sexual or something. Maybe I should stop recording.
I swear to God, the AT2020 is the only reliable piece of technology in the entire fucking world. I've used this thing for 12 years now and it's never once let me down. Every time I try like a better piece of technology, it just doesn't work. It literally just never works. Ever.
Lily's mad at Michael because he made a joke. He's giving her anxiety about it.
Okay.
Instead of laughing along, now she's making a big deal out She's just being emotional.
Yeah.
It's been 20 minutes.
Is it okay?
I think Michael's in the right.
Well, I think Lily's in the right.
I swear to God, the AT2020 is the only reliable.
Oh shit.